Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Yay! It's the ultimate Cleveland sports show. I'm out of breath. It's the latest I've ever come in.
You sprint? I've never seen you sprint so fast.
Oh. I never had it.
It's hard to lose it if you never had
My
it.
shirt's soaking wet. But look at that. Look at my shirt soaking wet. Oh, I went to wash my hands real quick.
You leaned up against the sink and
I must have leaned up against the sink and some slob had gotten water all over the place.
Rookie mistake.
Look at that. It looks like Florida, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, we're off to a great start.
Why were you so late?
I just got kind of screwed up this morning. I slept late. I lost track of time there, which is very unusual for me. Got work going on in my house, so things are a little crazy. I got into an argument with a guy on the street.
Did you really?
Yeah.
4 o'clock this morning?
4 o'clock this morning.
4 a.m.
No, where?
4:09 it did. Oh, I never did.
Oh, Tyvis's mic's not on. After all that?
Tyvis has been sitting here in that chair for 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
Never put his mic on.
You know what?
I mean, isn't that Steve's job, to be fair?
Steve was standing out here talking to me the whole time, and that's what happened.
I don't know if you could throw stones today, boy.
Yeah, I can't. Not today. Not today. So where were you at 4 in the morning?
4:09.
Yeah.
Water.
No, I was asleep, and my dog had jumped in the bed.
Okay.
Right, and he sleep next to me, right on my leg, so I can't move.
Okay.
And I had thought that I was more in the middle of the bed than I was.
Okay.
So, so when I went
Did you roll out the bed?
So I wish I would rather have done that than what I did.
Oh boy.
When I rolled to the opposite way,
Yeah.
I got a nightstand next to the bed, and my eye went directly into the nightstand, and I thought I was I thought I was gonna come in here with my stuff swollen like this.
You start screaming?
No, I just because they was asleep, and I didn't want to wake my wife up, so I was just like, God dang it, and then I just kind of went back to sleep. But yeah, it was
That's tough.
painful.
That sucks.
It was terrible.
sucks.
I blame my dog. I think it's time for him to get out.
Yeah. We have, believe it or not, at my house have a baby gate in front of my door so the dog can't come in. We don't let the dog in the bedroom. That's the only room he can't go in.
See, if I did that to my dog,
Yeah.
he would sit there and he'd cry and bark all night.
Yeah, he does. My dog sometimes will sit by the gate, yes.
Yeah,
but
see-
he doesn't cry. No.
Well, he knows the rule.
That's right.
That would be new for my dog, and he
can't adjust.
Yeah, once you let it in, there's no going back.
Yeah.
You have to draw that line very early
right.
in the dog's
In the relationship.
life. Yeah.
Although
Is this the first time you saw me without a hat?
I don't think so. But it's not been very often.
This is the last day.
Why?
Are you not sticking with it?
I said I was doing it for a week. This is the last day.
I know, but are you going right back to the hat?
Yes. I feel so not me.
Naked?
You look different without the hat.
I
yeah.
know.
But why did you decide not to wear a hat this week?
Because you wasn't here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because I said that I wanted to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I needed to not be.
All right, that makes sense. That's
What's
good.
wrong with this guy? What's wrong with this man?
He's not completely bald. Come on now. But that's only lasting for 3 days.
No, it was a week. I went a whole week.
I got you.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen him. He told us this on Tuesday.
Okay.
You weren't here Tuesday.
All right, fair
I
enough.
started last Friday, and today's
Okay.
Thursday.
So today's the last day.
Last day.
The full week.
Hat been looking at me.
All right, we got a lot to get to, guys. The Guardians win again. They're 5th in a row.
Your proclamation came true.
What was my proclamation?
You wanted them to sweep the Cubs.
I did. That's true.
You wanted them to sweep your favorite team?
I did. I was rooting for the Guardians of the series.
Boy, you're sweating.
I am
It
so
is-
hot right now.
It is glistening off your
It's
forehead.
glistening
I don't
off
know
my
if-
forehead.
I don't know if you
It
could
was
tell.
just a crazy morning for me. And usually, I usually even when I'm off kilter and I don't pay attention to the time, my body just knows I got to be there at a certain time. But I just got screwed up by an extra few minutes today. I'm very rarely late.
Ever.
I've never been.
No.
This is the
the
closest
latest-
I came to missing the start of the show. But anyway, I'll stop sweating and we'll get into all these different things. So the Guardians win again. Well, I won't stop sweating, but we will get into all these things anyway. In addition to the Guardians, we got bad. I will pull it together, I promise. We got bad news in Browns camp as Denzel Ward was put into the concussion protocol yet again. This is obviously a major concern. So a lot to get to today, but first we'll go to Anthony.
What's up, guys?
I don't know. What's up with you?
I'm just going to do the read.
Please.
I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want, and all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every single day all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com/UCSS to start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
All right. Let's start. I'm gonna. We got to get into Denzel Ward, and obviously, the joint training camp practices here between the Browns and the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, things got pretty physical. Apparently, Kevin O'Connell complained that it was too physical.
It was too physical. He went over to Jim Schwartz and essentially asked him to tone it down, according to everyone out there.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Tyvis?
So when you do a joint practice, it's always you got to check the temperature of your opponent. All right. Usually they come together before. It's always a meeting with both teams to say, listen, we're going to practice like professionals. We're going to get some good work in. There will be no fighting. If you fight, you're dismissed.
There's always fighting.
Yeah, that's usually the rules. They like to lay those things down. And when you get out there,
I hate that we're using Dove Kleiman. This guy is an aggregator. He's disgusting.
He sold his account.
We should not be using his stuff.
Okay,
Okay,
anyway, it's all right. I thought it said something about Jim Schwartz. That's what I thought you was going
Sorry,
on.
my bad.
But after that, usually you get to your Indy. Indy, it's very competitive, one-on-ones, defensive line versus offensive line. That gets a little chippy, but nothing too crazy. The team period is where all the work comes in. And you have to be, it's not like you can go 50%. Like, you got to go at a good tempo. I guess when they say too physical, maybe these linebackers was really hitting these running backs, And as a running back, you kind of set the tone. The running back is usually the one that sets what's going to happen. If he gets that ball and he tries to run through somebody, it's on the floor for the rest of the day. There's no toning it down. It is what it is. So if Aaron Jones got that ball and tried to run over JOK or somebody like that,
it's on.
That's it. For the rest,
going back
that's it. So you gotta be mindful of what you're gonna do. And to say too physical, I mean, to hear a coach say that, that
comes off as soft, right?
It does come off as a soft thing because it's we getting you ready for game day. The Browns defense was one of the best last year. So they're literally helping your offense become a better offense because if you can make some things happen and have some success against them, when you get to the season, it should be a piece of cake. So I'm shocked to hear Kevin O'Connell say that. The only reason I feel like he said that is because Jordan Addison got carted off. J.J. McCarthy is out. They're starting to get guys.
Well, McCarthy got hurt before.
True,
He's been hurt,
but I'm just saying.
They lost 3 different guys in practice yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. Guys are getting hurt, so
Yeah.
that's why I think he's hey, come on now. We got to make it to the season. So I understand that concern, but the too physical, I wouldn't have said that.
It struck me the most complete off-putting wrong way. And I like Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a really good head coach and has a chance to be a really successful head coach for years, but when you come into a joint practice, and Tyvis, I'll defer to you as someone who's did this. I can just see it from the outside. It's not a game, but it's as close to some game-like situations as you can actually replicate in practice where you're going the ones on the ones, offensive line, defensive line. It's competitive. It's guys that you don't practice against for weeks on weeks on weeks throughout training camp. And then to come out and say, hey, tone down the physicality. To me, that just says your team's not ready and the Browns were more ready for that situation, more prepared and more ready to kind of bring the fight to Minnesota. And I'm not looking at anything from joint practices and taking it and writing it down and say, Sam Darnold went 1 for 12 in these 11 on 11s. The Vikings are going to go 0-17, or the Browns defense is going to hold teams to 3 points per game this year. I don't think you take it in that context. But I feel much better about the Browns than I do about the Vikings, hearing that Cleveland was the more physical team. They were essentially unblockable in every drill. And the other coach had to ask Jim Schwartz, hey, calm down. Take it easy, buddy.
I need to hear the context behind it.
That's
was
true.
it a joking
A
matter?
player had just gone down. I think it was the third player for the Vikings that went down with injury yesterday that was carted off.
Well, I know Addison and Thayer got hurt, two
But
receivers.
see, the thing about it is once like I said, once you see how, if you knew that their defense was going to be very physical, as an offense, your mindset should be, I got to match that, or I'm going to get dominated.
Exactly.
So, like, I don't understand why they didn't. Like I said, I get the injury parts, but that's part of the game. That's part of practice. You know, if you rolled an ankle or something like that, okay, that's part of the gig. But I don't think a coach should ever say tone it down. If anything, I'm telling them, y'all see what type of time, y'all better pick y'all intensity up. Like, what y'all doing?
Couldn't you tell your own team, hey, we're getting our asses kicked, like, pick this shit up, as opposed to going to Jim Schwartz and asking.
That's what he should have did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you could deliver the same message in, like, the big picture of what you're trying to get out of your team, but do it in a way that doesn't come off as, like you mentioned, being soft.
I think the Vikings are going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year, personally.
Dang.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Well, who's their quarterback?
Sam Darnold's their quarterback.
You know what? The only quarterback from his draft class that's been to the Super Bowl.
As a backup.
So what? He was there.
Who was he backup for?
Brock Purdy last year.
Oh yeah. Okay. How much did he contribute to that team?
One game. He played Week 18.
That's like giving.
Hey!
That's like giving Austin Hedges credit for the Rangers winning the World Series.
That's further than any other quarterbacks have won in that draft class.
Yeah. Congratulations to him. If he were the quarterback, he wouldn't have gone. They wouldn't have won a playoff round, let alone gotten to the Super Bowl.
I guess we'll find out this year.
Yeah. I mean, what do you like about that team? Their running back situation.
Who, the Vikings?
Yeah. Is shake. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's great, but
Hawkinson's coming off injury.
I don't think their defense is very good. Hawkinson's coming off injury.
Who do they even have on defense anymore? Because
they signed
Danielle
Grenard.
Hunter's gone.
They got Grenard, essentially a swap Hunter for
Okay.
Grenard. Their defense was decent last year.
Who are they corners? Byron Murphy?
Murphy and
No clue.
yeah,
Harrison Smith is a dog.
he's older though.
Yeah, but he's still pretty good.
They lost.
Well, they have one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league,
don't know
a
who they
mediocre
got.
running game, and they do have one great receiver, but a tight end coming off injury, we don't know he's going to be back. So with a mediocre defense, I don't think that, and they're in a tough division.
Well, if that-
well,
with everything that you
NFC
just
Central's
pointed
tough.
out, then the Browns should have looked dominant.
Exactly,
over there.
which they did, and they should. And it's just another example of why I think the Vikings, not that anybody cares, but why the Vikings aren't going to be good, because they're soft as Charmin. I mean, that's pathetic. You're right. We are maybe missing some context as to how he said it. Maybe it was taken, maybe that wasn't the exact quote. Who the hell knows? But, I mean, that is freaking pathetic. You know, these coaches are always complaining that they don't have enough practice time, right? And we always hear this from coaches. These guys don't tackle right. Always complaining about the players and all the rules for the players.
Yeah.
Well, now you're complaining it's too physical? I mean, give me a break.
I would love
What
to.
is this, Tiddlywinks?
I would have to see how they come out today.
Maybe Kevin O'Connell should coach a Jacks team instead.
I was supposed to go to the practice today after this,
Yeah.
but I got something to do in Columbus, so I can't go.
Me.
So, yeah, I would have loved to have went, though. It would have been perfect to go today because I wanted to see how the Vikings, knowing that these
Yeah.
reports is out,
Yeah.
I got to see how you respond to this.
Let's see if they have any balls on that team and they punch back.
That's what I wanna know.
Right?
Yeah.
And then how do the Browns respond to that? Meanwhile, we got to talk about Denzel Ward. You got something to read before that?
No, actually, we don't have to take a break before
Okay.
this. We can go right into Ward.
Yeah. This is
It's
very
scary.
concerning,
It's
guys.
it's scary.
Denzel Ward in concussion protocol. This is what
He ran into Elijah Moore or something, right?
It was a one-on-one drill. They were jostling for the ball. They fell to the ground. Moore fell on top of Denzel. They were both wearing the concussion padded helmets. It fell off during the play, but he's had 4 confirmed concussions as a member of the Browns. 4 confirmed. I Googled this morning. I tried to find how many times he'd been in protocol but not actually had a concussion. I found at least 2. So this one including one other. So at least 6 concussion scares.
Yeah.
And that's the timeline. Those are the 4 concussions he's actually suffered, not just been in protocol, but legitimate concussions.
Well, 6 is the magic number because I got two former teammates, Josh Perry and Armani Reeves, who I played with at Ohio State. Both I asked them today as I was coming in, how many concussions did you have? They said going back to high school, yeah. He said 6 on record. So 6, both of them told me 6. So I guess 6 is the number that's like, all right.
What, that made them retire?
Yeah, they can't play.
We don't know
no
that
more.
Denzel's going to do. There's no rule. I mean, it's up to
6
him.
is the number where they gonna tell you
Yeah. This could very well be 5. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think anything's been confirmed by the Browns
He
yet.
was out throwing the football before practice yesterday. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a concussion, but he looked to
What do
be
you
in
mean
good
before
spirits.
practice?
Like on the sideline while
Yeah,
they
they
were
was out there
practicing.
After this alleged concussion.
Yeah, he was out throwing the football yesterday.
So that would make me think he doesn't have a concussion.
Yeah, he just probably
Yeah.
went in protocol. Maybe they're
Yeah.
being extra
Okay,
cautious.
well,
But still, it's another potential concussion situation. He has 4 confirmed. If Tyvus says 6 is the number, he's 1 or 2 hits away, and this happened in a situation that wasn't even a hit. This was
Right.
he literally fell to the ground
See, that's what
on an
happened.
incompletion, and that's the scariest part, that these can happen on any given play,
That's what
in any
happened
moment,
to,
practice game,
Yeah.
scrimmage, it doesn't matter.
That's exactly what happened to Josh. His last concussion. He was at Seattle with the Seahawks, and they were doing like a walk-through drill, and he like bumped into somebody's shoulder. Concussion.
What?
That was it. Yeah, that was
His
the last
head
one.
hit the person's
Does
shoulder.
the
something like that.
threshold for a concussion go down the more you suffer? Do you know?
I
Bill?
ain't never had one.
I believe that's the case. I believe that's the case, but I'm not sure, and certainly I'm not a doctor. I've had some concussions, but not that many. How many have you had? You've had 0?
Let's go.
I didn't
Are
use.
you sure?
I never led with my head. I told you I might have. It was only one that I think that I may have had something slightly, but no, I was a shoulder tackler.
I had 2.
I think Ants had a concussion.
According to Boston Children's Hospital, in a quick Google search, people who have already sustained a concussion are at greater risk for subsequent concussions and are likely to accumulate the effects. So each concussion can be more severe and requires a longer recovery time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
Didn't somebody had a concussion last year and was out for like all year? Was it Marquise Goodwin? Didn't he get a concussion? Was like missed like
I can't
the whole
remember now.
season?
Well, he had the blood clots at first.
Yeah.
And then
Maybe that's what it was. I thought he had
No,
it.
but he wasn't out for the whole season.
no, but then he did have a concussion.
Yeah, and he missed like a month.
I don't know. I mean, we see that all the time now. Guys who have had multiple concussions end up missing a lot of time. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, if it's not a concussion, it's not a concussion. You can be put in protocol and not have a concussion. That is possible.
Yeah.
It could be a neck stinger too. Anything from the neck up,
Right.
you have to get put in protocol until they clear you.
Right.
So, because
Yeah.
last year he had a neck injury against Baltimore,
Yeah.
and he got put in the protocol, but it wasn't a concussion situation whatsoever.
I think the bottom line with Denzel Ward is he's clearly been injury prone in his career, and he's one of the most important players they have. I mean, he's either 2 or 3. I mean, it can't be any lower than that in terms of how important he is for their defense. We saw what the secondary looked like when he was out, and it was not good because as much as we like Emerson and Newsome,
They're not.
they have to move up a
Yeah.
notch,
Yeah.
and they're not that good. So he's important, and he misses a couple games every year, and you just kind of live with that. But you'd hate to see him have a concussion now, right at the start of the season.
Well, he had one against Kansas City in the preseason last year. That was the 4th, his
Right,
most recent
yeah.
actual concussion. He recovered in that week off between the last preseason
Right.
game and the start of the
And he was
regular
able to play.
season. Was able to play against Cincinnati in week 1.
Has he come out and said if he's wearing that shield, the guard?
He was wearing it when this situation happened. He was asked at the Greenbrier about it.
Yeah.
Greenbrier
like
about it.
in the game.
He said he's not going to do it.
See, I don't blame him, but I do kind of blame him a little.
I mean,
bit.
I get it. It looks silly, but
yeah,
wouldn't you want? I mean, first of all, it's not as we know by what happened yesterday. It's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
Your brain is moving inside your head. There's nothing that can completely stop that. Excuse me as I spit on you, Mike. That's really gross.
Can I get a napkin?
Somebody get her a napkin. I could use
It's
a water
right
too. I
here.
just spit on Mike.
This
It's
is
really gross.
disgusting.
It's
Can
right
you see
to
that?
get you.
Earl's on it. 1 second.
There we go. I flipped it out. Sorry, Mike. That was gross.
That was vile. Bull.
That was gross. What do you want me to do? I didn't do it on purpose. Sorry. I'll cover my mouth.
He
going
got it.
forward.
He good.
Can I get a water, please? Can I get a water?
You're all good.
All I'm saying is, it's like to me, concussion.
You got to get over the ego of.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about that though, but I am referring to that.
Yeah.
I feel like whether you were the guardian or not, if you're gonna get a concussion, you're gonna get it anyway. It's like an ankle sprain. If you tape your
still
ankle,
sprain your ankle,
you're still
yeah.
gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Earl. You can toss it. Thank you.
That was the utmost lack of faith in Bull to catch that.
I totally would have caught that, Earl. Come on. Damn,
It's
Earl.
not the morning to risk things.
I played well at first base in the softball game last year.
did.
Sweating, wet stains, spitting.
I'm a disaster.
I gotta get Bull in concussion protocol.
Put me in. That's true.
Make
That's
him clear.
fair.
But yeah, like the Guardian, I don't think the Guardian camp is going to prevent the concussion like that.
It's not going to prevent it, but I would assume that they're
It's
using
there to
it
help, yeah.
because it helps maybe lower the percentage of people that get concussions when they get hit.
And you can
know what else
see,
is-
real quick, for anyone who's unfamiliar, those white pads on the
Yeah.
helmet, those are the concussion
Guardian.
I
concussion
saw
caps.
a picture of a Colts helmet
Jonathan Taylor.
It's funny because I see people.
with the thing on top of that.
Jonathan Taylor said
Yeah.
he's going to wear it during the season. So
Good for him.
Because
He's smart.
Because they're not going to wear those in games, they have a way to paint it or color it in
Yeah.
so it doesn't look completely out of line from a regular helmet.
Yeah.
I would be so totally one of those dudes that are just not wearing that in practice.
But why doesn't Denzel say to all the other defensive guys, hey, let's all wear these together, be smart and safe? If they're all doing it, what's the big deal?
No.
Who cares? That's stupid.
What are you talking about? Do you know
you know
that
defensive
90% of it is how you look? Did you not listen to Dion? I'm not going out there with that thing on
I'm
my
not going
head.
to trust Dion. He's a shitty coach. What can I do with him?
Okay, what about a player?
He's a great player.
All right, so that's what we
And he
have.
might not be a shitty coach. I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll see. That's TBD.
He had a
on
shitty
that.
last year.
We'll find out this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not doing that. It's not because, like I said, if you're gonna get a concussion, you're gonna get one whether you had that thing on or not. You know what you do? Leave your head out of the contact. Use your shoulder like me.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this,
Head
Thomas.
to the side, shoulder.
We agree Denzel Ward is in the top 2 or 3, 4 absolute worst, most important players on the Browns, right?
Yes.
So knowing how crucial he is to the success of this defense and the success of the overall team, even if it was just like a 20% chance that Guardian cap could help him and prevent him from getting another concussion and missing, whether it be plays, whether it be a week, whatever, I feel like the Browns need him on the field.
Yes.
They do.
Like they do, and if that's going to help him potentially play more games and snaps throughout the season, I understand look good, play good. I understand the swag of defensive backs, maybe more than any other position in football, Tyvus. I get all of that. But if it's going to keep him on the field, the dude's had 4 concussions, been in protocol at least 2 other times.
You know what blew this whole argument?
What?
You just told me he just had the thing on and now he's in protocol.
Right.
I know, I
So
understand.
what?
But like,
So that right there is like, oh yeah, it's done.
But
Like,
if you have a better chance of staying on the field with the helmet, why wouldn't you do it?
because he's just in protocol right now. And that's supposed to
But
have
maybe,
a better
but
chance.
maybe
he
he
would've-
doesn't have a concussion because he was wearing
yeah, exactly.
the thing.
Maybe he would have
well,
had an actual
if that's the case, then he should wear it.
Right.
And
But
then
if
I guess that's
if
my
I'm
point.
Dale Pitt, Martin Emerson, or
You're not joining it.
I got jokes every Sunday. I'm not wearing it, but I got some jokes.
Yeah,
for him.
and if I'm Denzel Ward, I'm showing them my bigger paycheck than the rest of those guys.
You got a point there. I mean, listen, Newsom's helmet is like that anyway. So
Yeah, Newsom's got a big giant helmet.
He's good.
Well, Newsom has got like the smallest head on the face of the earth. He's like a tiny little guy.
Maybe it's the hair.
Well, it's the hair and the helmet sits high on his head. It's
I went to buy new sunglasses over the weekend.
What you get?
I was the first time I ever spent like legitimate money on sunglasses. I always was someone who bought like cheap ass $10 sunglasses.
I do too because I lose them.
I don't never get sunglasses, period. But I did buy me a pair before.
But I was at Cabela's.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Cabela's?
I have.
It's
Like
right
that's
next, it's
like
like
a-
attached
The
to
outdoor
Dick's.
shop.
That's like a redneck store right
Mhm.
there. I was like a little, I said, my wife and I were just getting over COVID, and it was the last day we were going to wear a mask. I was like, we better not wear a mask at Cabela's. Somebody might shoot us. So we go to Cabela's, and it's an awesome store.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great
It
place.
is.
They got the
I
big
bought a
fish tank.
chair. I wanted to buy a chair,
Like an outdoor chair.
an outdoor chair for when I'm coaching, because I got no place to sit in the dugout. The dugout's like a little tiny bench. I don't want to sit on that. So when I'm, I want to be able to have it. Although this past week I didn't sit because I was coaching the bases and I just didn't feel like sitting. But anyway, I got that, and then I was like, I should get a nice pair of sunglasses because I walked by, and the guys there, one of the guys there was a fan. I forgot his name. I feel terrible. He's a big fan. He watches the show every day.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to the guy who works at the sunglasses hut at Cabela's. Can't you think of your name? I'm sorry. But he was a really cool dude. And anyway, I bought a pair of sunglasses. But why was I telling a story? I totally forgot why I was telling the story.
We're talking about
It had something
Denzel
to
Ward
do with
wearing the
Newsom's
helmet.
Denzel Ward.
Helmet cap, sunglasses. pay
cap,
more. It'll help save your eyes.
sunglasses. I have no idea why I was telling this story. No clue. There was a connection to the Denzel Ward conversation,
a mess.
and I forgot it. There was some connection there, and I don't know what it is
The
anymore.
last thing we was talking about was G-New's hair.
Gino's hair.
and the
Oh,
helmet.
okay, that's right. So when I said to the guy, I was like, I want to. I prefer the cool like sports sunglasses with the wraparound,
Yeah.
But he's like, and I said to him, yeah, but I usually can't wear those because I got the fattest head on the face of the earth. I got a giant head. And he's like, no, we'll find you one. But no, they couldn't. So I couldn't get the wraparound because the wraparounds look cool, right? I want to look cool. But I got, unlike Greg Newsom, who's got a tiny head, I got a giant head. Greg Newsom's got a head like the character in Beetlejuice. You know the guy in Beetlejuice with the shrunken head? That's Greg Newsom.
That was the most.
That was a little random.
Roundabout story to get nowhere.
It's one of those days, man. One of those days.
Director Steve made a comment. It's like they never do this when Earl's producing.
wanted-
Maybe it's me thing.
wanted-
So you good?
I wanted to know how much you spent on the glasses.
Too much.
Is it under $500?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
$500.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you've been
My
over
wife
five-
loves sunglasses, and
Yeah.
she will spend big money.
I
on
think it
them,
was,
so.
I don't
I'm gonna
remember.
guess around 2.
I don't remember. I think it was 2 something. Yeah.
If you're buying a nice pair of
I
sunglasses,
probably
that's
have
what
not spent $200 on all the other pair of sunglasses I've had in my life. Until this one.
I did buy some. I bought some Tom Fords when I
Yeah.
was in San Francisco. I love them glasses, man.
These are called, I don't know what they're called. I
They
can't
was like
remember.
the little ones
Oh,
in
yeah.
a circle or like this. That was my favorite glass.
By
I
the way,
broke
my
I
first
broke
day
the
wearing
nose
them,
thing.
I'm coaching Little League the next day, and I like kind of jump up because we stole home,
Yeah.
and they fucking fell in the dirt.
Stop cursing.
I
You can't. We're not in overtime. This is the regular show. Yo, we're gonna have to find Bull.
It's a mess.
I'm fining myself $100 for cursing.
He gets some
2 days in a row.
No, yesterday was on the overtime.
Well, it's still 2 days.
People
In
are
a
so
row.
uptight about cursing.
It's FC. Listen, for us,
It's not FCC. We're on.
I
we're
know,
on-
Oh
but
my
YouTube.
goodness.
there were
The
recorded
FCC is an
upstairs.
evil. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
Anyways.
yeah.
Guys, I have one more
There's
question.
no such word as
about the-
anyways, by the way. It's a common misconception. No
And
such
what's your
word.
question?
How much weight do you guys put into these joint practices? I'm just laughing at you guys. How much weight do you put into these joint practices? Mike, you alluded to it a little bit earlier that you don't take it as gospel, but is there a little bit different than other practices that go on in the preseason?
Yeah, absolutely. And I look at it as even probably more valuable than the actual preseason games because you're getting your ones against their ones. And in the preseason, you may get that for a series, but this is controlled situations where the offense is working specifically in 2-minute drills versus, in this case, Minnesota, and their ones in a 2-minute drill defense. You're getting ones-on-ones on the offensive and defensive line. Like I said, none of this stuff is gospel, but Christian Darrisaw, after practice yesterday, said, Myles Garrett's unblockable, which we kind of already knew beforehand.
Wow, what startling
Well, just,
news!
no.
It's
But like
that's-
when he's torching James Hudson in practice day in and day out,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's to be expected. Darrisaw just got $113 million, $77 million guaranteed by the Vikings this summer, and to hear him go up and say, "I had no chance against Myles Garrett." He ruins and destroys every offensive tackle he goes against.
Well,
but,
I mean, it's only-
but to hear him actually say that and go on the record, same thing with being soft, like with Kevin O'Connell earlier.
Wait, the tackle said he couldn't stop.
Darrisaw said it couldn't stop Myles Garrett.
See,
got
he
that.
shouldn't have said that.
That's my point. So I do think there is some credence to it's ones-on-ones in a controlled
Yeah.
situation, but it's legit ones-on-ones trying to get the best of each other, which probably is closer to an actual game-like situation than a makeshift offensive line in a preseason game where you're not getting the real plays from the opposing quarterback. They're running a blanket vanilla offense. So I do put some credence into it.
There's only one tackle that can get Myles.
Tunsil.
That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like it's a full day. So
Yeah.
I'm not shocked to hear that. That's
Yeah.
not breaking news. If
It's weird
If
that he said it,
Tunsil would have said that, I would have been like, that boy coming for back-to-back
Yeah.
DPOY this year.
By the way, I think, and obviously I want your perspective, I have said consistently, I'll say it again. I'll continue to say it. The preseason, training camp, all of this is meaningless to, to us.
Okay.
To us.
Fans.
To fans and media.
Okay.
Because we, myself included, are generally stupid. We don't really know what we're looking for. We think we do. We don't. We'll see a guy make a nice catch in practice and people go bananas.
Yeah.
This is all meaningless. Obviously, it's meaningful to the players.
Yeah.
It's meaningful to the coaches.
Are you talking the practices or are you talking the game?
All of it.
Okay,
There's
yes.
some value, I think.
Yes, there's value in
right,
all of it.
To
Yes.
in all of it, to you as a player.
Correct.
To you as a coach.
Yes.
Maybe even the general manager, if you're talking about roster spots. But for us, you guys do so much stuff that we don't see,
Yes.
that we're only getting a tiny bit of the picture in these games and these practices. If you don't know the whole picture, there's only so much you can know. And so I just think, plus, guys are working on specific things, right? When you're running these drills with other teams, you're running on specific things. You have more information
Correct.
than you would in a real game. So
Yes.
how can I look anything into it from a fan's perspective?
Well, from a fan's perspective, I mean, you just looking at the one-on-one matchups. You looking at Martin Emerson versus Justin Jefferson. All right, if let's say Denzel is out and Martin has got to go up against the number one. Let's see how he does up against the number one. See how he does. He makes some plays. Okay, in the game, he'll fare well against that.
But let me ask you this. Is Justin Jefferson, not Martin Emerson because he's a young player and he's still
Is
coming
Justin
up.
Jefferson getting some work?
I mean, is he giving it his –
Yes.
Is he playing like he's playing a game in that situation?
Yeah.
Does he wants to embarrass the other guy?
Yes.
Okay.
You know why? Because they're going to post it on social media. They're gonna post it. Then on top of that, he just got the biggest contract for a wide receiver.
That's right.
You telling me if you let a guy like Martin Emerson come up here and lock you down, like it's going to make him – obviously Martin would be like, yeah, that's perfect for me.
Yeah.
But – it's always competitive. It's no taking no reps off. Like, that's not going to be the case because where Martin Emerson brings is he was a really good coverage corner last year. And on top of that, he's a bigger corner. So Justin Jefferson can, if he has to go up against bigger corners throughout the season, he can now come up with a plan. All right, I went up against Martin, and he was good at this. He was a bigger guy, and I was able to beat him by doing this. So when I go to the season, when I go up against a bigger corner, I can use what I did against Martin Emerson because it's not like he's a slouch. He's a really good corner. If it worked for him, it'll probably work on this guy. So now I have a plan on how I'm going to defeat my opponent on game day.
Right, but doesn't that prove my point that he may be working on things?
Yeah, he's working on something.
Right, and so maybe we see something and it's not as meaningful as we think it is, but to him it's meaningful.
Yes.
Because he has some real experience against
he
bigger
knows
guy.
he knows what he can and cannot do.
Right.
So that's why a lot of the times I don't take a lot of stock in a lot of things because you don't know if the player was working on something or not. But in them team periods, when that rush is on, it's like you gotta have your best thing going because we need to know what offensive plays we're doing or what defensive plays we can run because for the Vikings, they're looking at the Browns defense like, okay, we're gonna play, I don't know, the Titans and the Lions this year, and they run the same thing. So when we play them, we need to figure out what plays is going to work. Schematically, from a schematically standpoint, we need to worry about how we're going to scheme guys open, and the Browns is going to be perfect. So that's the things that they're working on.
And one more thing, too. When you get in these team drills, Ty, I'm making an assumption here, but I feel pretty strong in this assumption. If you make it to the NFL, you're a high-level competitor.
Yes.
And when you get a chance to go one-on-one with anybody.
Oh, you better win.
It means something. So sometimes these one-on-one reps, and you could be totally right, Bull. Justin Jefferson may be working on getting up on the defender, as you mentioned in the text yesterday, drop his hips, turn, comeback routes, whatever. Like, it's still a one-on-one rep when there's cameras around, and I don't care who you are, whether you're Justin Jefferson, whether you're Miles Harden, whether you're Jamari Thrash, whether you're Michael Woods, whether you're the 7th cornerback on Minnesota. When you get in those one-on-one situations, Ty, when all eyes are on you,
You better not lose.
you're going to bring your best out. So even if you are working on specific things, I do think there is a level of importance. It's not the end-all, be-all. You're not going to learn everything you need to know, but it is another data point to see how guys, frankly, just want to compete and how much they're willing to give in those situations to come out on top. So I think there's more to it than nothing, but it's certainly not the gospel.
I tell you what, Bull, when I was with San Francisco and we went up against the Texans, I went up against Sammy Coates. And Sammy Coates was like different because if you know back at that time the 49ers receivers was all small, shifty guys.
He's big, wasn't
But
he?
Sammy Coates is like 6'4" and like really fast. So I'm like, all right, this is the first time I could go up against a bigger guy. Dude burnt me on this fade route. I was
Toast.
I was upset. Deshaun threw him a dime too. But then I came back and went up against a receiver that's more like the ones that I go against in San Francisco.
Who was that?
I can't remember who it was, but they ran a dig route, and I knocked it down, and I looked at Deshaun like he was crazy. I did. Like, why would you even try me like that?
Damn.
I think, you know what? I got to look up my phone. I might have a video. I got to look it up. Go ahead.
But that gets back to the competitive point. Like, when you're on that stage and you're in front of everybody and they're all watching, like, there's a competitive level to it that comes out that I don't think you can simulate in other
So how did Martin Emerson do? Didn't he get his ass kicked in that one play?
I heard Earl just take a deep sigh from back behind the glass.
On that play.
Yeah.
And we pulled up the play. You played it earlier.
They had 2 plays that they showed.
Yeah.
The one play that we showed on here.
Yeah.
Let me look at it.
I mean, can we even see that?
He lost his rep, but boom, he threatened him with speed and then he dropped it. But I mean, it was not a bad rep. I mean, it's an
8-yard completion.
Yeah, it's not a bad rep at all. He threatened him with speed, made him get high, and then he dropped his hips. But you can tell Martin anticipated it because he wasn't full speed. So you can tell when a corner is anticipating something because he didn't full-fledged open up a run. He still kind of had his hips parallel to the receiver. So he dropped down. It was perfect. Now, where he messed up is he should have undercut it. See, he went over the side around the back, and the ball was a perfect thrown ball. He made his route to get to the ball a longer route. If he would have undercut it, he probably would have made a play on the ball. But see, that's something that he learned.
And there was another play where it was a little bit of
it was like he ran like it was either a post or a
some
deep
sort of
ball.
go,
and he ended up making the play on that. So
So he held his own.
Yeah, he had a good. It was a solid day.
Well, we got to see 2 plays. That tells us the whole story.
It's a solid day, man. You got something good, something bad. He learned something.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, we're going to talk with Bernie Kosar. We didn't even mention it. Bad job out of me. The great Bernie Kosar. We haven't seen Bernie in a while. We'll see how he's doing. We'll talk about plenty of Browns things with him. He's going to join us in studio in about 25 minutes. But now it's time to talk about the Guardians. Go ahead, Anthony. What do you got?
Guys, before we pivot, I want to remind everybody, I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. However, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sportsbook, official sports betting partner of MLB baseball.
Yesterday, the Guardians sweep the Cubs. Final score is 6-1. A lot of good things about this game. First of all, Alex Cobb in his second start with the Guardians.
Great.
He's bringing up his exact stat line. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 walks, a run, and 3 Ks. I thought he was going to get through 6. He did not. Another good thing is they didn't have to use any of the key guys in the bullpen. They used Sandlin, Herron, and Barlow, who combined to go 3 1/3, 4 base runners, 2 base runners, and no runs. And offensively, Stephen Kwan had 2 hits. And Andres Jimenez, who's been coming around a little bit lately, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs, including the 2-run double in the 9th to blow the game open from 4-1, from 4-1 to 6-1. So, good win by the Guardians, and yet another good pitching performance by a newcomer in Alex Cobb.
It is crazy, Ty. I mean, literally crazy how any pitcher the Guardians bring in, they seemingly rejuvenate their career in ways that most people didn't think were possible. I mean, Ben Lively, from nothing to something. Matt Boyd, 1 start, tiny sample size. I understand.
And Alex Cobb's always been good, so that's not fair.
But hasn't pitched all year, coming off hip surgery.
That is true.
Both of his starts this season have been relatively impressive. Last night,
No, he stunk in the first.
Yeah, I was about to say the first one was. Didn't he only have like
Did he?
1 or 2 strikeouts or something like
who
that?
cares
Cobb
about
was not
strikeouts?
good in the
I
first
thought Cobb didn't go 5. Am I thinking? Am I
But he
getting
ended up
Boyd's?
getting knocked out in the last inning, gave up a bunch of runs.
I'm thinking of Boyd's last start.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But either way, you get Lively back.
Yeah.
You get Boyd, who pitched awesome yesterday. You got Cobb, who in his second start now, obviously pitched a gem last night. I don't understand what the reclamation process this staff goes through, and this staff, I mean coaching staff, to get these pitchers to refine whatever previous form others thought was implausible. But they've done it time in, time out, year in, year out.
Yeah.
And it's not just a 2024 thing. It's a 2023 going back for the last decade. They find ways to get the most out of pitchers.
They do. I mean, it's not perfect. Tristan McKenzie's been crap this year. Logan Allen's been crap. And Carlos Carrasco, they couldn't rejuvenate him. So
He had
there's no
some
miracle.
moments.
I think they did a decent job with Carrasco.
Yeah, they had
If-
some
if-
moments.
He gave you
Listen,
everything you could have asked for from Carrasco.
It wasn't any better than he was last year, really. I mean, a little bit. But the point is, if they were doing such an amazing job this year, we wouldn't be complaining about their starting pitching all season.
They lost their ace.
Yeah, they lost Bieber in the
And
second
Gavin
week of the
Williams
season.
wasn't there.
But if
Gavin
they could
Williams just
you're
got
making
up.
it seem like they could fix everybody and turn them to gold. Let's not get carried away.
Well, that here's a little. I
Until
can
They've
say
done an
that.
incredible job with it.
Until this last week, the complaint has been the starting pitching has been bad.
And I'm not saying it's totally fixed, but like, did you expect Matt Boyd to do what he did yesterday or
It's
2 days
one
ago?
start.
I did.
You did, and Jason did
It's
it.
one start. He did a nice job. I'm hopeful. I thought it was promising that he pitched great in his rehab in the minors. He looked lights out. But it's one start. I don't want to get carried away. I think we just got to be realistic. I mean, I was saying everything was fine. Well, not fine, but when they lost 7 in a row and a lot of the fans were jumping off the bandwagon, I was like, calm down. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So I'm not surprised that they've turned it around. But I'm not going to be disingenuous about the pitching. We can't pretend everything's fine now when we've been complaining about their starting pitching for the whole season.
It's gotten better.
They've survived.
This time through the rotation, it was excellent.
Correct.
Except for Lively, he didn't pitch great. But there's reason for optimism about the rotation now. And yes, in general, they have had good success taking veteran pitchers and fixing them when they've had some problems. And hopefully that will be the case with Boyd, who's never been a particularly good pitcher, and Cobb, who's been a good pitcher but is coming off an injury that has kept him out for the season. So the adjustments Cobb made from game 1 to game 2, clearly he looked, I don't want to say prepared. I feel like that's the wrong word, but he seemed more ready for this second start. Maybe he had the nerves going the first start since he hadn't pitched in a while. I don't know. But it was very promising that they swept. And the Cubs, while the Cubs are a mediocre team, they had been red hot coming into the series. The Cubs had won 8 of 10 heading into the series. And the Guardians, without Bieber and without Bybee and without Williams, swept them with their 3rd, 4th, and 5th starters. So that was really impressive. And now they get their 2 best guys on the mound against Milwaukee here coming up.
So how would you say last night's pitcher for the Cubs? Where would you say he is in like their rotation? Is he like third?
Tyone? He is. I mean, this year he's their 3rd starter.
Okay. I was only asking.
I liked him for the Guardians. He hasn't pitched great. He didn't pitch great last night, and he I don't know what his final line was, but let's see. 6 innings, 7 base runners, 4 runs, 6 Ks. And he was not great. But he's pitched pretty well this season.
No, I was just
And
asking.
the Guardians scored a ton of runs off Imanaga, who's been fantastic
Yeah,
this
they
year.
did.
In the first game, I mean, that error and that there was a bad call on a strike, should have been a strike 3, contributed to it, but they still scored 8 runs. So, yeah, they did really well against 2 pretty good pitchers in this
Well, the
series.
only reason I was asking is
Yeah.
Jimenez went 3 for 4 yesterday, and I was like, is this a result of him getting better offensively, or was it that the pitcher just wasn't that great?
No, I mean
It's both.
Well, I mean, no. Tyone's a really good pitcher. Now the double he had in the 9th wasn't against. Who did he get the double off of?
Was it Merriweather?
Might have been Merriweather.
Who's not very good.
Well, he's coming off injury, so I mean, he was really good for them last year.
Because I feel like he's a guy.
It was Merriweather.
He's
yeah.
the guy that I think in the postseason they got to get something out of. In that
Yeah, that's
that
true.
line.
I mean, if he can get back, like I think it's pretty clear that the player he was 2 years ago
When he
is
got
not
hurt.
who he is.
Yeah.
That's an anomaly. But I think the reality of what he is in between that and what he's been this year. I think last year he was kind of like an average player offensively. And I think that's probably closer to what he is. And so if he could play at that level, because he's been well below average, and he's got to be productive. Like that double, that was a big hit. Most of his hits have been singles. And you got to get some production. He's batting in the lower middle of the lineup.
Yeah.
And you can't have everybody in the bottom of the lineup just get a single or nothing. That's tricky. But, you know, if John Kenzie Noel, who did not get a hit yesterday, can keep up the power surge, it helps because then it lengthens out the extra base ability of the lineup. I think I just made up
I like
that
that.
word.
Extra
Yeah,
base ability. I
thank
like
you.
that, yeah.
But, you know, as much as we're excited about him, he hit the 3 home runs in 2 days, Would it surprise anybody if he went 2 for his next 25? I mean,
Yes, it would.
John Kenzie?
yeah.
Yes, it would. I'd be shocked.
Okay.
Because he owes me 11 more home runs. So
He's got, what has he got, 11? No, he's got 11.
He's got 9.
they got 9.
Oh, he's got 9. He needs,
needs
11.
That'd be 11 more.
Quan is at 12,
13.
13. Both got an outside shot. I don't think either's going to hit 20, but I would.
Do you think Quan could be a 20 home run hitter next year? If he doesn't miss that month, is he a 20 home run
Yeah,
hitter?
I think he could be.
Or do you think
could
this
be.
is a...
I think he's probably going to be a guy who hits around 15 home
15.
runs a year.
Which with the rest of his numbers.
Okay,
you
what-
take
Yeah,
that
that's
to the-
fine.
Take
What-
it to the
If
bank.
John Kenzie was an everyday starter from game 1 to now, would he have had 20 home runs?
Probably. Probably. I don't know what his batting average would be. I don't know what his on base percentage would be. But
Is Kyle Manzardo ever going to make another comeback this year?
if he on September 1st they expand the rosters by 2. They go from 26 to 28
And
players.
he should be one of them?
I would assume he'll be. I mean, I
Or is
know
they
he's
gonna do
been
a
slumping now, but he was hot a few weeks ago, and they never called him up. Part of me feels like if they haven't called him up by now, they won't. But I'll wait till September 1st.
Or will it be the Logan Allen and McKenzie?
No, they can't call up 2 pitchers. I think
they
it's
need a
only be
hitter,
1
yeah.
pitcher.
Okay.
I think there's limits on how many pitchers you can have on the roster. It's 13 now. I think it goes to 14 in September.
So they get 1.
So I think I'm not 100% sure that's the case, but I'm pretty sure it is 14. So I think he could be up September 1st, but it really depends on who's. He's been in a slump in the minors. Is he still slumping, or has he gotten out of it?
You talking about Kyle Manzardo?
Yeah. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He ain't been lighting it
He
up.
was
He
red.
was.
He was red hot for
a few
a
weeks
while.
ago, and
red
then the
hot.
last couple of weeks he's cooled off. So we'll
It's
see what
baseball. It
happens.
ebbs and flows. I mean, it's to be
It
expected.
certainly does. It certainly does. But
It's a good win. Good sweep.
it's a great
And
win.
you say September 1st. Is when-
September 1st. Yeah,
That's like
that's right around the corner. 2
2
weeks
weeks
away. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, a lot of teams add a third catcher at that time, but they already have 3 catchers. Well, if David Fry could catch again, he hasn't really been catching much, but we'll see what they do. And obviously they already have an empty spot in the lineup with Hedges, who's useless from a playing standpoint. But go ahead, Anthony. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just sad because Hedges sucks. He did you guys see his bunt last night? He bunted it right to the catcher. It popped right up.
I mean,
But he did it with a lot of charisma and enthusiasm.
It's true.
it's so embarrassing that he's trying to bunt. It's like
He did get a bunt single off Scooble.
It was the
An
first
RBI
pitch.
bunt single off
He was
Scooble,
first
the
up.
game
you know
I
what
was
he's
at.
saying by doing it. He's like, I'm
can't
such
hit
a bad
you.
hitter
Yeah.
that I have to trick the other team because I'm not someone you'd expect to bunt because I'm not fast. For Austin Hedges to reach base on a bunt, it's got to be a perfect bunt. Because if he bunts it anywhere near any of the fielders, he's going to be out because he's slow.
Are you taking him or Miles Straw in the lineup for hitting?
They're both awful, but if it's hitting, I'd rather have Hedges on the team because he's such a good influence on the roster. But if I had to pick one in the lineup, if they were both on the team,
World Series.
I'd actually put
you'll-
Shaw on the team. I'd actually put Straw in the lineup.
Okay.
Because at least Straw
speed.
can steal a base if he gets on base.
Okay.
He's a good base runner. Whereas Hedges, from an offensive / base running standpoint, is a 0.
Is this going to be his only year with the Guardians?
They love him. He'll be back.
You think so?
Yeah, they love
The
Austin
problem,
Hedges.
listen. if
What
the-
was his deal? Was it a 1-year deal?
1 year, $4 million. The problem with Austin Hedges, I'm fine with him being the backup catcher, as bad as he is. I'm fine with it because they love him so much. The problem is their payroll is so low, they're wasting money on him. If they had a reasonable payroll of $150 million, then who cares that you're spending $4 million on Austin Hedges? But because their payroll is only $100 million, maybe it played a role in them not making another move at the trade deadline because they're so cheap. I don't know for sure if that's the case, but I don't understand how you could justify spending $4 million on a backup catcher who is, the worst hitter in all of baseball probably when you don't have a particularly high payroll.
I want to know, is he really the worst hitter in baseball?
He probably is.
It's not good.
I think there was a guy on the White Sox who had a below 1 average at one point. But also, real quick,
Go ahead.
Hedges, can you see him coming back as like a coach next year if they obviously didn't want to sign him as a player?
That would be ideal.
Like,
I'd much rather have him as a coach. I'd much rather have him as a coach than a player. Let's see, OPS plus slugging. The lowest in all of baseball. I don't know if he doesn't he might not qualify. All right, the lowest in all of baseball is actually Brian Hayes of the Pirates at 586. By the way, Andres Jimenez has the 7th lowest OPS in baseball of guys that qualify.
It's like 636.
646 right now.
Yeah.
All right. 586. Now, let's look at Austin Hedges' OPS. He doesn't qualify.
Oh, it's in the 400s. I saw it.
Is it?
Yeah, because it was still higher than Lane Thomas since he joined the.
Yeah. Well, Austin Hedges' OPS is. I'm sorry, folks. This is terrible. His OPS is.
.427.
Yeah, that's. I can't imagine there's a player that's got to work. .427 is so bad. I mean, I can't even. If you don't understand the numbers, 710 I think is league average. If your OPS again,
that can't be the worst one.
Andres Jimenez is at 660. That's the 6th worst of all qualifiers, and his is 200 points less than that. He is the worst hitter in baseball that plays. Any kind of significant. Maybe there's a couple of guys who have been up 10 times or 5 times. But if anybody that has as many at-bats as him, I can't imagine there's anybody worse. He and Straw have been the 2 worst OPSs in baseball.
So every year we're going to have somebody that's the worst.
It's the worst tradition in
Straw's
baseball.
just
In his entire career,
Yeah.
he has only been over 700 once in 2018, and he's only been over 600 the 2 times.
What's his career OPS?
His career OPS is .561.
Oh, my God.
We love
Austin Hedges. We love Austin Hedges. He has a valuable role on the Guardians. He brings something that is not replicable. And you can't quantify it.
I don't know.
No, I do.
I don't know.
I don't think he's like.
Why does he win the World Series? First of all, he gets no credit for the Rangers winning the World Series.
Why not?
He was there 2 seconds. They got him at the end of August.
He kept everybody loose.
Yeah, baloney.
Yeah. Last year with the Rangers, and
that was the only time he's ever been on a World Series team.
But there's a significant difference, like in this team from last year. And I'm not saying it's just Austin Hedges.
No,
it's a change of
I don't
manager.
I don't believe it has anything to do with
I
Austin
do
Hedges.
think Austin Hedges has some sort of
I'm not giving him any
chemistry, charisma factor that you can't quantify. You can't put a finger on.
So you think they'd be under 500 right now without?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, well, what are you saying?
They were,
I said that Austin
they were
Hedges
last year,
helps.
wasn't they?
How many? So we're going to point to just him?
Yeah. Not like they made some significant changes outside of.
You're going to tell me the worst hitter in baseball, it become some magical chemistry, whatever, is the difference between them being bad and good? Come on, give me a break.
No, but I think it's a factor in it.
No, I don't think it's any factor.
I'll tell you what.
I'll give you a 0.1% factor.
He changes.
You'll give me his OPS.
He changes the
No, not
attitude of people that come
Yeah,
in
you're
the
right.
building. Like last year, they might have came in the building and they was mad all the time. But he comes in and everybody's upbeat.
I don't believe that.
Everybody's in love with
I don't
playing the
buy
game.
that.
I'm not going out on a limb
I don't buy
like
that.
Jay did when he said he's the most important player on the
Yeah,
Guardians.
that's
that was
Jay said that
Jay did
That's
say
insane.
Austin Hedges was the most important player on the Guardians.
on the
I
record.
think
He said that.
on the WKYC show.
That is insane.
Which is an absurd statement. I'm not going that far, but I do think there is legitimate reason to believe that he is part of the reason they are significantly better this year than last year.
We get on here. People
You
get
can
on
believe
this-
anything you want.
People
I mean,
come on
there's
this show and just say whatever, huh?
just
Jay
saying
said
crazy
that.
stuff.
Jay did say that.
Man.
All right. Well, we got Bernie coming in studio in just a little bit. The Guardians will begin a series in Milwaukee tomorrow. They're off today. Do we have the upcoming schedule here?
They go Milwaukee, then New York,
And then the Yankees after that.
and then Texas, I believe, after that.
So we got a little bit of a challenge here coming up against some of the some better opponents. 3 in Milwaukee, 3 at the Yankees, then the Rangers and the Royals at home. So no easy games in that group. Milwaukee is a team, their manager's very likely going to win Manager of the Year. Obviously, Stephen Vogt has a great chance.
Oh, they going against
Savali's pitching Friday. I didn't even realize that. He's been awful.
with them.
Well, that's his numbers for the season, not just with them.
Well, he leaves Cleveland, and his numbers cater. That's my
Yeah.
point. They have a way.
They've got a way.
They have a way. Also, reminder, tomorrow we are on YouTube,
Yeah.
10 to 11:30. 10 o'clock to 11:30. We are then taping the WKYC show from 11:30 to 12 because we have to go shoot the Tyvus versus Jay challenge.
I'm sad I'm going to miss that, Tyvus.
Yeah, but tomorrow when you tune it on at 11 and we dip out at 11:30, don't say we didn't warn you.
Yeah.
We warned you. We are on from 10 to 11:30 tomorrow morning on YouTube. Everything will be clipped. You can go back and watch it if you miss it. The WKYC portion will be at regular time on WKYC, but we are going to be on tomorrow from 10 to 11:30.
All right, there you go. I'm going to be here tomorrow, but I have to go. I have an appointment I got to make, and I can't come to watch. But I'll be rooting for you. I will be. I'm officially rooting for Tyvus to have success.
How do you think this plays out?
I think he's not going to be able to get any hits, but I'm hoping I'm wrong.
You don't think I'm a hit, Jay?
No, Jay throws hard, man.
Y'all gotta cut this
He
out.
didn't play baseball,
I did.
but not at a high level.
I played varsity at high school for 2
All right.
years.
So what do you think you're going to do?
Oh, he going over the fence.
So that would be the best ever.
And
That
I'm
would
flipping
be.
the bat like John Kinsley.
If you do, it ends right there.
Yeah, it's done.
That's it.
And he
Does he
can't.
get to run the bases?
I don't even want to.
Okay.
We'll
And
find out.
If Jay Crawford can't talk baseball to me ever again, that's what I want him to come sit in that seat on Monday and say, Tyvus, you are the king. That's my request.
I do want that to happen.
So here's, for a content standpoint, here's how it's going to work. We are shooting this tomorrow. It has to be edited.
Yeah.
We have 3 to 4 cameras coming with us. It has to be edited.
Yeah.
If you are a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, you're going to get the video a day early. We're going to release it to members a day early before we play it on the show. So on Monday, can't talk about it, Ty. We have to wait for it to be edited.
What?
People got to see it. It ruins the surprise if we give it away
That's
first.
terrible. That
So-
sucks. But all right.
We're gonna have to edit it. Maybe I might have time to edit this weekend. We'll see. But it's a 4
Pressure's
camera.
on now.
It's a 4 camera shoot. That's a lot of editing.
All right.
Nuggets, I got a beef for one of our viewers,
Who?
Evan419.
Oh boy, what happened with Evan?
You know why? Because I was in the chat yesterday. I was
Yeah.
talking to Earl. I told Earl to donate me one of his locks. So you know if you grow your hair and you put
Yeah.
somebody lock in, like it'll attach to your head and you like you get locks. Did you know that?
I had
Anyways,
no idea. Is that real?
yeah. Anyways, the Evan419 said
Yeah.
that he is on some fantasy team. And he said I was gonna be upset with what his team name was gonna be.
Yeah.
I said, well, if it's something good, let me know because I might use it for ours. He said it has something to do with me being a media member. So we got beef now because I'm not a media member.
Yes, you are, Tyvus.
Nope. I got my pass from the Browns. It says game services. Everybody else's says media.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Spencer German, who's been on the Ultimate 216 show, works at the radio, tweeted out, Deshaun Watson just told us he was not aware that the plan was for him to play in the 3rd preseason game.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I can't wait to get into that with Bernie. We're going
Great
to get him right now.
communication there with the Browns.
That's weird, right?
Kevin Stefanski said it, didn't he?
Yeah. That's weird, right? How would he not have gone over that with Deshaun?
Who
Yeah.
cares? He's
I know it's not a
there.
big deal. I'm just like, that's just weird.
It's not a big. I mean, it's not.
I don't
big-
think it's a big deal at
It's a
all,
lack
but
of
it's just-
communication,
it's
no,
just weird.
Tyvus? You don't think that's an issue?
Shouldn't he want to play?
Yeah. He should want to play every preseason game, shouldn't
All
he?
right. So why is it?
No. But why would he say he didn't know that was the plan?
I don't know. They do weird things over there. They like to give people ammunition. It's chaos at the Browns. That's what they want.
Chaos?
That's what people want
Nah,
to say.
it's not chaos,
People,
it's just-
they want the media to be like, "Oh my God, the quarterback and head coach ain't even on the same page." They want that type
we're
of
not
stuff.
trying to do anything. I'm trying to
I'm
get
just
some
saying,
truth.
that's
You
what-
don't think it's weird that he and the coach don't appear to be on the same page on that?
I mean, did you think it was weird that he waited until Sunday on the Baltimore Ravens game to say that he couldn't throw?
Him? Oh, Deshaun you talking about?
Yeah.
I guess, but like,
So like I said, weird stuff happens with them too all the time. So it's not. It falls in line. With
what do
me.
you make of it?
Nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You think it's a no deal?
I don't think it's a big deal. It's just weird. Just weird he wouldn't.
It is strange.
That he didn't tell Deshaun, hey, by the way, Deshaun, you're not playing against
Or
Minnesota.
he
You're
did,
playing
and
against Seattle."
Deshaun
Forgot.
didn't take it in, or I don't know.
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he play the 2nd preseason game?
Because if you don't play in the 3rd preseason game, you got essentially 2 weeks off.
Or why wouldn't you play both?
Because you don't need to play in this game because you're going to do it in practice. The stuff that we want to run, we're going to do it in practice. And we know that you protect it.
Yeah.
If the Browns had joint practices against Green Bay and not Minnesota, so in the lead up to the first preseason game, do you think Deshaun plays in the second?
Probably. I think he'd take a series like everybody else
And then
did.
play more in the third?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of starting quarterbacks played the first week, at least
I
a
know.
little.
Yeah, no.
A lot of starting quarterbacks that have played a lot more than
Was
him.
it a lot of quarterbacks that did joint practices in week one
I
that
don't
they
think
play
so.
in the game?
I don't think so.
See, that's
Is Sam Darnold playing the game? Do we know?
this game?
Yeah.
He better.
I don't
He need every rep he can get.
know.
I don't know who else they would play right now. Who's behind Darnold?
Nick Mullins.
McCarthy's out for the year.
Yeah.
Nicholas
Yeah, but
Mullins.
they already knew McCarthy was hurt.
Yeah.
They didn't know he was out for the year, but they knew he was hurt, so I'm sure they have other guys in camp. I mean, what's the
What
difference?
about Tyler Huntley? You think they'd be interested in Tyler Huntley?
You think they would trade?
No.
You think they would trade us a 4th round pick for DTR?
No chance. Why would they do that? They just got J.J. McCarthy.
I think they could do a 6 for Huntley.
Why would they do that?
Because he's
Well,
only
if-
on a 1 year deal.
Is it a 1-year deal? If Darnold's your starter, you don't like
Why
your
would they
backup.
trade anything for? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. They're not They're not like going to win this
Will
year.
you stop with that?
They know that.
So they gonna come in there and say, "Yeah, we're not even gonna try this year. Let's just go lose 17 games to get the first."
It's not
pick."
like they don't have a starter. They have a starter. They have Sam Darnold. May not be very good, but there's some people that think Sam Darnold could be good if given an opportunity.
Jaron-
I'm not one of them, but there are some people. They have Jaron Hall.
He's their backup
Yeah,
Who is that?
He was a rookie last year.
out of BYU.
He was a rookie last year, I think,
Yeah.
or 2 years ago. He played a little, and he started a game, and then he got hurt.
He
in
got
that game
concussed.
that he started.
And then Josh Dobbs came in, and
Right.
there was the Josh Dobbs.
There
spin.
was a rumor. I don't know if it's a legitimate source. I don't even know where I saw it, but there was a rumor that they were interested in trying to trade for Derek Carr, which doesn't make any sense because
No,
Derek
that
Carr
was
is Sam Darnold.
That was from a fake.
Was that debunked?
That was you got aggregated. But I do think Tyler Huntley for a 6th or 7th, just as a back. If you don't love Jaron Hall,
Well, they got Nick Mullins. He threw for 400 yards.
I don't think
in the
Mullins
game.
is there.
He not?
I don't think so.
I gotta look that up.
What's that, Anthony?
I was just letting you know we're waiting for Bernie.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess it doesn't matter who the Vikings. This idea that they're going to get anything for Tyler Huntley, I just don't buy it. I don't know.
You don't think a 6th for Huntley or
Everybody
7th?
could have had Huntley the whole
Yeah,
offseason.
but then when guys get hurt and you get closer and you realize, like the Lions, for example,
Yeah.
they played the Giants in the first preseason
Yeah, he's
game.
still
Nate
there.
Sudfeld was horrific.
Nick Mullins still
Horrific.
there.
And you're one injury away from being from
any-
Jared Goff to
Does
horrific.
Tyler? Do you want Tyler? If Tyler Huntley has to play for the Lions, they're in trouble anyway.
He kept the Ravens afloat.
Not really.
He wouldn't play for the Lions. They would use what's that quarterback from Tennessee that they drafted?
Hooker?
Yeah.
And then Hooker, he got concussed.
He did? God. I tell you what, that little cap thing, maybe it might soften you, you know? When I was at Ohio State, I used to get my ankles taped every day.
Yeah.
I got to the NFL and I met this guy by the name of Richard Sherman. I was sitting on the table and he goes, "Why are you getting your ankles taped?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, it's just something that I do." He
Yeah.
said, "Well, you know, if you do that, it stiffens your ankle. And, like, if you don't get them taped, then you'll, like, roll it." And I was like, that makes a good point. So maybe the
you stopped
cap,
doing it.
the cap is, like, softened them up.
I don't know.
Well, and we got Bernie
got
ready,
Bernie
so
Kosar in
let's do
studio.
a read and we'll bring Bernie in.
Yeah, guys, as we get Bernie in here, I want to remind everybody that I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Go on and head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS to start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
Bernie, how you feeling? How you doing? What's going on? Good to see you.
I'm so excited for the season to start. Be back with you guys.
Yeah.
And why I'm able to stay alive, not a sales thing, but I'm going to hit you with this bull, with your little
See, I can
pass.
actually catch. What is this?
We're throwing and catching here today on the show.
There you go. I'll pass it to
But
Mike.
through the course of the year,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to have you on, brother.
You
'cause
are?
This is what's been saving
Pea
me.
protein, not pea like PEE, PEA.
Pea protein, but the raw coffee powder has been one of the things that's been a
helped
massive
you.
save. Oh, it's been a
Yeah.
big save for me. To be cognitively present, to be here today, to not have to be medicated,
Yeah.
to not have to be racing to have a liver transplant, to be told in the off season.
Yeah.
Your early stage Parkinson's, early stage dementia, and to be able to be holding those type of diagnoses off,
Yeah.
and actually feeling good
That's great.
to be able to share this stuff with you guys.
Well, that's great. And what is it's cough dry? What'd you say it was again?
So you don't need to go over it today because we got so much to go.
Yeah.
But it's basically raw coffee powder, and what you do when you keep things raw, you don't roast out the nutrients. And some of the stuff that I've been playing with in terms of not having to do street Adderalls, certain medications.
Right.
But one of the things that's important for all of us, but me in particular now, is being able to detoxify my body, modulate inflammation, and then all of us really need to control our glucose and our sugar. And when you have sugar issues like a lot of us do and I do, this is what I've been using really to detoxify my blood. Didn't think it was going to work as quickly as it did. So to pester you guys and be able to come on all season, looking forward to it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk some football, Bernie. We were just talking about the fact that Deshaun said the Kevin Stefanski said Deshaun was going to play in the third preseason game. Deshaun apparently today said he didn't realize that was the plan. Is that odd to you that there may be a lack of communication between the two?
You know what? As I was coming on over here and listening to Deshaun's press conference today, to kind of hear him say that, I actually think sometimes when you are doing interviews post a practice or pre-practice like that, and you're kind of answering questions, I'm not sure sometimes you've really thought through all your answers and stuff, because you're really thinking of the plays and you're thinking of what you got to do in the course of the day.
Right.
So I was a little surprised to kind of hear that. And again, I made a mistake when I was playing. And granted, we're talking about the 80s and early 90s, but I needed to play in the games. I needed to practice a lot. It probably shortened my career in terms of the excessiveness that you threw and did in preseason and needing to take some of those hits. So I needed to want to practice and talk about the actual exhibition games, because as a QB, you want to simulate live game activity no matter what, but really, unless there's the threat of death, unless there's the threat of getting run over by defensive end, the ramifications of a blitzing defensive back decapitating you, that really isn't going to happen unless it's practice or unless it's a real game. And that type of mindset, I needed and wanted to have more of it. So maybe a little surprised that they didn't talk more about it or have it so definitively. But in terms of at least he's playing, I think that's absolutely helpful, especially with the extra time between the third preseason game and the opener.
Bernie, we started the show talking about Denzel Ward, who's back in concussion protocol. He's had 4 concussions throughout his career that have been confirmed concussions, been back in protocol. There's the new concussion padded helmets that they're able to wear now. Tyvis mentioned a few of his former teammates had a cutoff number of 6 concussions before the team essentially said, thank you, but for your own health, you got to get away. How serious of a concern is this for Denzel with these continued concussions year after year?
For any player, any guy, these are an issue now. And this is, again, I'm not just trying to sell stuff and promote things now. This is really about almost a sense of responsibility to kind of share some of the things I'm taking and doing to delay some of the inevitable things that are happening with age and stuff. And when I see younger players, like Denzel in particular, having these concussion issues, and we can go back to whether it's college or the rookie year when Greg Williams was kind of yelling at him for hitting with his head. And I kind of looked at it like that's one of the reasons I so love and respect him, is he's fearless. And if he was sitting here, he's a big NFL player, but he's not exactly one of the biggest guys like myself. I was incredibly skinny, slender when playing, and was a little more susceptible to that. So, and actually dropped some of that off for him the other day, because I'm concerned for all the guys, but when I see something like that happen right now, for Denzel in particular, personally, that absolutely affects me.
Who knows how much those caps actually help, those giant things they're wearing. But the players, it just seems like the players, I guess Jonathan Taylor of the Colts is going to wear it in the game, but most of the players, because of how it looks, are probably not going to wear it.
So I have a big thing with the helmets, and I actually have my rookie helmet and saw the evolution and growth of helmets in that. And I do think, albeit a little goofy looking, the padded stuff, helps some. And again, I don't want to take up the whole show on science and health and wellness, but the helmet sometimes is irrelevant. And some of my old school coaches believe that the leather helmets actually would be better with the open face mask because you wouldn't use it as much. Because whether you're using a good helmet like that, a newer helmet with the foam above it, the brain still sits inside your skull with water around the outside. So whether it's getting hit from the outside, the real damage is the brain bouncing up against the skull from the inside out. And that's still happening whether you got a padded helmet or not. And that's what worries me actually for younger kids playing the game.
Bernie, when you look at the report came out yesterday that, first of all, did y'all do joint practices when you was playing?
Yeah, actually, we did. We would go to Edinburgh College to play Buffalo.
Okay.
And then very proud to say that I played in some of the first international games ever. And I played in Wembley Stadium in 1989 in the first American Bowl, me and Randall Cunningham, but it was the Buddy Ryan blitz defense with Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Golick, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner.
Yeah.
But fighting, this is probably a bad reflective question here on studio, and hopefully kids are getting ready for school. Back then, joint practices were dangerous. It was a free-for-all. It was flat-out fighting. And with Bud Carson's first year and Buddy Ryan there and who's the tougher defense, it was a melee in Wembley for 4 days of joint fighting.
Well, I'm glad you said that because Kevin O'Connell said that the Browns' defense was too physical. Now, if that was your offensive coordinator and your offensive play caller, would you be offended that he said that to a defensive coordinator?
So, again, I'm in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter of my life, and probably with these diagnoses, the fourth quarter and overtime with some of that. So, how I think as a healer and a spiritual person is completely different than how you have to think as a football player and a football coach. People ask me why I don't coach and why I don't get involved with that because I kind of be good with it. But that's a whole other mindset. And I was groomed by the tough guys, whether it's Don Shula, Howard Snellenberger, Jimmy Johnson 3 times, Marty Schottenheimer had an early Bill Belichick who groomed Jim Schwartz. That's expected when you come on the field.
Yeah.
So our offense would absolutely meet that challenge the next day, okay? And we'd be so discouraged that we did not meet that challenge from you guys that current day.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, for how I like to think these days and spiritually healing and helping people, it's completely the antithesis. And that type of statement is why we love our defense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's football. Okay, this is Cleveland football.
Bernie, I'm curious. You mentioned Randall Cunningham, who was a player kind of ahead of his time, right? I mean, as good as he was at the time, I feel like if he played now, he'd be Lamar Jackson or maybe even better. I don't know.
Yeah, so I have a lot of fun with Randall Cunningham, and I concur with you. Okay, so Randall Cunningham, Steve Young.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, those two guys, almost a little bit before the Michael Vick, but those 2-3 guys would be just special. They were special. They were special. Are special in the history of the game and in that era. But this era is really meant for those guys. Yeah.
No
I'm not
doubt.
sure I would be as successful, but
I think there's more mobility to Bernie's game.
I had some mobility. But part of this is what it's kind of good that they're taking this out of the game. But part of the change of the game was the quarterback really getting run over in the late hits, and that does affect your mindset and your ability to function truthfully when you're out there, and it takes a different breed of mindset and person to be able to do that. And fortunately, I don't think quarterbacks and players should be subjected to that today, but it made it way different.
Bernie, what do you expect from Deshaun Watson entering 2024? Coming off the game against Baltimore, he gets shoulder surgery. He's been participating throughout all of training camp. What are your expectations for number 4 this season?
So great question, fair question, and I'm not hedging on it but all us quarterbacks, and I know we're singularly focused on ourselves in a team sport, but we are so victims or beneficiaries of the guys around us. So the more depth at the wide receiver that we have now is going to help him. I actually think that Cedric Tillman is, with his size, and I enjoyed the way he was aggressive and strength in his hands last year. And I think somebody like him is going to add depth and size to, and one of the guys that's kind of not been overly talked about. I absolutely, this isn't a revolutionary statement, how much I love David Njoku and his ability, and I think he's one of the top tight ends in the league the last couple of years, and he's playing even better with his chemistry with Deshaun. So that being said, Deshaun's guys around him with the offensive line, though, how's that's going to materialize with Coach Callahan? And we saw some tackle issues the other night in the game, and how that works will be a direct correlation, I think, to how quickly Deshaun comes back from the shoulder injury and then regaining that kind of form that he had, albeit injured, in the second half of the Baltimore game. Where even with that injury, he completed all his throws. Being able to get that timing back and that real confidence is the key. And if he's able to feel confident back there with these guys playing, the guys around him, receivers, the weapon should make it better.
When you look at them bringing in Ken Dorsey, they got Tommy Rees from college. You can speak to this. Kevin Stefanski decided to keep play calling duties. What effect do you think that has? Because a lot of people think that Ken Dorsey and Tommy Rees won't have a lot of input. They think Kevin's going to kind of just run his own thing. What do you see happening with all of these offensive minds together?
So that's a great question, and really where you got to lock in and see. And then it was hard to tell in the first game, because Deshaun didn't play and Jameis did. And Jameis only played the one series, but 5 for 6. But in that first series, seeing a couple backs, tight end in the game, play action pass, and in particular the play action pass to hit the 20-yard throw to Michael Woods. That was somewhat similar to the play calling and plays that we were seeing last year with Joe Flacco towards the end of the year. And to see that still being a part of the offense and a big part, even though Nick Chubb didn't play, that bodes well for me to see that that's still part of it. And then they did, though, go, even with Jameis, into shotgun spread right after that on first down, after getting a first down. So they have the ability to be what they did last year. And then with Ken Dorsey and Rees, it looks like they have the ability to go spread and stuff. That's good, I think, in the short run of trying to have it all installed. But to your question, how does it manifest itself at the start and through the course of the season? Because it's hard to be all things to all people. Yeah. And you want to really lock in on a couple of things that establish what your personality is.
You mentioned Nick Chubb there. We're not sure when he's going to be ready to go. What are your expectations for him this year?
Well, I think Nick has exceeded our expectations of him on the field and off the field in terms of just how awesome he is. I could keep going with glowing compliments about him with that. Again, he in his career has been able to make plays out of nothing, and with the offensive line making holes, he's been making yards on top of the holes that are there. So again, we're victims or beneficiaries of how good the offensive line and running game's going to be. But I actually think when Nick's healthy, and that I think he has the capability to surprise us again with another miraculous comeback from this devastating injury. And also a shout out to my doctors and to Nick's doctors, University Hospital. Okay, I'm unfortunately in the liver transplant area where Dr. Post and that, but Dr. Voos and Dr. Jake Kelsey and what the sports medicine department at University Hospital is doing, and some of the things that they've been piloted or okayed by the FDA to do in research on orthopedic issues. So the University Hospital, hats off to you and some of the research they're doing and some of the things that bluntly I've experimented on my own body as an old man that's had awesome results. And I could already, University Hospital is doing some great things with Nick and the players from an orthopedic perspective. So if anybody could come back and surprise us from something that regular people shouldn't come back from, I believe Nick's going to do that.
You mentioned Jameis Winston a second ago, Bernie. How beneficial is it for Deshaun to have a guy behind him like Jameis, who up through this point of his career in Cleveland has been the ultimate hype man, the ultimate voice in his ear to get him back on track? Just kind of having that positive voice behind him that seems to fully support Deshaun and what he needs to do to get back to the old version of Deshaun the Browns were trading for.
Yeah, Mike, I'm getting goosebumps here, getting excited thinking about Jameis and what he brings on and off the field, what he's bringing to my life. I love him.
He's the best.
I love his genuine, spontaneous positiveness, coupled with his genuine knowledge of football. So you could, I'm not going to dismiss any of the happiness and the personality of that, which is awesome in the locker room, awesome in the quarterback room, amazing for our fans and people of Cleveland to get to enjoy and stuff. But he has real depth in his X's and O's and knowledge of the game. And one of the things I like talking with him about, and you can notice and talking about he's talked about in some of his interviews, and I believe it'll be a mindset that will help with Deshaun, the offense. And I know Ken Dorsey, we have a mindset at the University of Miami about what we think when people play cover zero blitz against us, okay? Mm-hmm. All right? I still get riled up. I don't even want to sit next to you, okay? If you think you can play cover zero and go all-out blitz against me. And Jameis has that same old-school mindset of anger, okay, disrespect, okay, to have another defense attack you like that with blitzing, and you're going to make you guys pay, okay, with that. And that kind of levity that I'm trying to say it with, the levity that he says it with, but it's damn serious, okay? And that's a specific mindset that literally, I'll say this in levity, I had why people in Cleveland, I think, like me, because that was my mindset. You get only about 8 to 10 of those a game if you're lucky, okay? And if you know when those 8 to 10 are coming, I played my whole game to not screw up on the other 50. And when you did them 8 to 10, I wanted to nail you with them, because you get half of them, you got 4 or 5 scores, okay? And that was as simple as I could make it. And Jameis, I could see, wants to do that and will bring that, I believe, that mentality and emotion and that mindset of going after you guys when you get cocky and you think and you think we're afraid, that you're going to go. And we're not throwing quick screen either, okay?
Oh,
no, this isn't quick screen, bubble screen.
Okay.
Bro, you're covering a
dangerous
post.
Game.
You're covering a post, okay?
You gotta hope that your line is blocking good enough to get that post off.
You're going to get your depth, okay? You're going to get your depth, and like you said, you're going to take a hit. Okay, in the old days, you took a big hit. You're allowed to run you over from Bull's chair. Now you can't run you over from this chair here. So you just got to go for it, and get that mindset to stand in there. Yeah. And Jameis has it. I believe that he's going to bring that. He's going to bring that kind of spirit and that belief in yourself. So when those things happen in the course of a game, because games come down to 3 to 6 big plays, or 3 to 6 plays you don't make bad, or 3 to 6 plays I make you pay for doing something, too emotional or too aggressive. And that kind of mindset to want to pounce on it, like I believe Jameis is going to do. That's how I was raised. And I actually, when they stopped doing that to me in the early mid-90s, I had to retire. I got cut and retired, okay, because they started playing zone. Squat zone, okay? Wait a minute. Get your depth.
Bernie, you was talking about how the Browns have tackle issues, particularly the left tackle spot. If they have to go into this season with a backup left tackle and they have to play Dallas, how do they manage to get through that game? What are some things that they can do offensively to help to keep Deshaun's jersey clean?
Great point is, and I having my Dallas connections and with Jerry Jones and getting to go from here to there, and that'll be kind of an emotional game for me to see two organizations that I really care and love about. But that's absolutely that will be, even in health of Jedrick Wills and Conklin, that is still going to be issues with that. And that's what I was kind of talking about, what I enjoyed seeing in the Coach Stefanski play calling, albeit in a rough game against Green Bay, was you got to have your back and tight end in there. Mm-hmm. You got to have help. I would try my best not to have the open corner or the open side to him, having a tight end there. And again, it's why I'm a healer now, and I don't really like to get into too hot specifics of my real football mentality, which is different than healing, okay? And what I would do with the way we taught chipping, okay? Chipping and cracking, okay? And there was crack backing and wham blocking.
I don't even think you could do that anymore.
It's
I don't think you can crack back anymore.
You can't get
you gotta
caught.
like set a
you
pick
have
or
to
something.
do it right. You have to do it right. Yeah, but all that goes. And again, like you could go to some of my old coaches, you would wham block them on the first play of the game and chip them. You would wham him so that he thinks his knees are going to get wiped out. And I'm not saying that type stuff, but that is the fear that you have to put in, that multiple people are going to hit him on every play. Yeah. It's not going to be just one guy.
Bernie, going back to Jameis for a minute, I'm curious. I know when you first came into the league, Gary Danielson was there with you, right? And what is that relationship like as a young player, having that relationship with a veteran backup? And then as you get older and become a veteran, how important still is it to have that relationship with the backup quarterback?
Gary Danielson was immeasurably the most important person in my transition to playing good winning football at the Cleveland Browns, and then giving me the confidence that I wasn't a whack job when I wanted to throw a bomb every time against cover zero early in my career. If you bumped me or you played cover zero, you got one of two plays, a fade or a post, 100% of the time. You didn't have to study. That was what was coming. Okay, and Danielson taught me that, and he confirmed it in me. And the importance of a backup quarterback is massively essential. Obviously, we say at the beginning of your career, but now, even at the end, but for sure in the middle, we're absolutely trying to pretend we don't need anybody, but we still do. Yeah. And I do the you matter, self-confidence, self-esteem, believing in yourself. You need your backup quarterback, I believe, just like I believe you need your head coach, and we have that here, to fully believe in you, to fully know that he's got my back. Okay, and I know that's kind of why the competition QB stuff doesn't really work, because I don't want to sit here next to you knowing you really want to play and you're going to be taking my spot. And now to have the kind of separation of church and state where Jameis isn't threatening, like Gary Daniel wasn't threatening, and his personality was just so helpful that it's going to, I believe, give Deshaun the best chance to have his own confidence and reestablish himself as a quarterback, having an awesome friend and quarterback like that. And it's still as important, although we minimize it as older guys, just like we minimize as older men, that we've got everything together.
Well, speaking of backup quarterbacks and quarterback rooms, Bernie, we found a picture from your playing days at Miami of a hell of a quarterback room, if Ant wants to pull this up.
Yes.
Bernie, you want to take us through this picture? And
well, first I started out as number one, and with all them real athletes up there, I had to switch to appear bigger and get two numbers on my chest. I look like the beanpole. But that is why I think like I think right there of cover 0 and blitz coverage. To have Earl Morrall, okay, be our first quarterback coach with Howard Snellenberger, and for Earl Morrall and Howard Snellenberger to basically run the 72 Dolphins, the only undefeated team, and to give me that system with these type of mindsets back then. And then to be, okay, look at us, Coach Morrall and us 5 guys, and I'm 5th string quarterback there. Mark Richt goes to be ends up being the head coach at UM in Georgia. The great Jim Kelly, who is our mentor, Kyle Vanderwent, and the awesome Vinny Testaverde. You know, to be
a hell of a quarterback room.
And
That's incredible quarterback.
You know, and to sit in that room, and then for young kids out there and for parents out there, for not quitting. Football, sports teaches you so much about quitting, getting up off the ground. But here, I'm 5th string there, and I'm thinking I'm going to not make it. I'm going to have to transfer. And I go to Coach Snellenberger. Coach, it doesn't look good for me. You know, it looks like I'm 5th string here. And he goes, you're right, it doesn't look good. Not the advice a young kid wants to have, but he goes, you know, I'm going to give you a chance, and I promise you, he goes, you have to figure out, because you're so slow. And I had run a 5.5 40, and I had lifted a $185, okay, and I barely got that off, all right? So he goes, you're so slow. He goes, you've got to minimize your limitations, and you got to maximize what you're good at. And he goes, you're smart, figure out the X's and O's. Earl Morrall's going to teach you. Our graduate assistant coach then was Mark Trestman. Oh. Mark Trestman's now, he's actually coaching.
He's in Canada, right? Is he back
well, no, he's actually with Harbaugh coaching
the Chargers?
The Chargers with Justin Hebert. Yeah, so like those, he was those guys were my mentors. So to be able to be taught that and to be told that the quarterback's the last guy to decide what the defense is going to run. You get to see the weak safety, strong safety, looking through them to the Mike linebacker, which is a staple in the Miami, the Coach Shula system, looking through the Mike linebacker, through the safety to get that fly that was jumping right in front of you there. So to be able to be taught that as an 18-year-old, just like Bob Greasy, you know, and Johnny Unitas were taught by them, and to have that core foundation, it's actually why I could sit here today at 60 years old and still look at a piece of film and absolutely know how to block it, protect it, what the weakness is, and then how to get enough time to get an extra 0.2 of a second so you guys don't knock me over, so that you're watching that post I just threw over your head in the end zone.
Hey, Steve, pull that picture back up, Bernie. I got one more question on this picture. When you look at an NFL quarterback room now versus that, Bernie, those shoulder pads are ginormous. How the heck did you guys throw with those giant shoulder pads? And would you have thrown for 5,000, 6,000 yards if you had normal shoulder pads of today's quarterbacks?
Well, so that I only had those because I was so insecure and low in self-esteem and so skinny that I had to put on the excessive ones to pretend like I had muscles to do that. That's actually the truth. And my throwing was so bad in those that's partially why I was so sidearm.
Really?
Early, because look at those things. You can't get your arm up on that. So I was really 3/4, which is what I did in high school pitching anyway, so I got used to it with that crap on there, and then figured out that it was too much. And then if you see my Browns ones, I still have my Browns shoulder pads, and they're probably 75% less than that. Because Gary Danielson said those are too big, get them off. So he said get those off, so that's partly why I got elbow and shoulder issues. Yeah. And then Jim Kelly, why I didn't wear a mouthpiece and why we were able to audible so much, because Jim Kelly said don't wear a mouthpiece. Yeah. So me and him got our back teeth knocked out from getting hit underneath with those helmets. Ooh. So
you should have flipped them out. You should have got a bottom.
Yeah, it wasn't high tech back then. That was then. We were still sticking it in boiling water and putting it in our mouth. You know, it wasn't molds back then. You know?
Did you when you were at Miami, did you realize at the time how good the talent was? at the quarterback position?
Well, obviously not on signing date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I thought Jim Kelly was there, and then it was everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I was going to be the only guy because there was no internet.
Right,
and
sure.
Jim was going to be a senior. I could have been a freshman and cruised my way in the
Right,
next
right,
year.
yeah.
I only realized that I was screwed the day I got down there. I go, what is this Vinny Testaverde? This guy looks like a Greek god. He's throwing like Michelangelo out there with the greatest form in the world.
Yeah.
When you look at the offseason moves that the Browns made, as getting Jerry Jeudy, do you think that they did enough to make that offense good this year?
So I like what the offense did last year, especially with all the injuries and stuff. So from a weapon standpoint of the receiver room, I would like the receivers. I always liked though. I was a big tight end guy, so I actually really liked the Kevin Stefanski offense with lots of tight ends around too. So, but that's a guy who wants to have a 70-man roster, not a 53-man roster.
I think we're trending towards that, Bernie. I think because listen, they're going to go to an 18-game regular season schedule.
We really should. I mean, we really should have depth at it. There's some, and the way you manipulate the practice squad, and then the way there's guaranteed money, and hey, you want to have good quality of play. You know, you want to have good quality of play. So having guys around that make the team, that should be on the team, that will be contributing. Absolutely, I concur with that.
To me, it's stupid that you have even the fact that you have a 53-man roster but only 45 on game day. Why?
Oh, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson, that was his pet peeve.
Yeah.
I can go back to the Super Bowl. Even to this day, you go, some of the hardest things he had to do, just emotionally, come up and tell you, hey, you can't dress today. I mean,
there's no reason for that. You're paying those guys anyway. I mean, it's so stupid.
Yeah, what is the reason? I never really thought of it.
Do you know what the reason is?
No.
I don't know. There's no good reason. I think there should be 65-man rosters, and everybody should be able to play. What is the downside of that? The league, so you got to pay an extra dozen guys. Those guys are all making the minimum salary anyway. The NFL is the cash cow of cash cows. They can afford to pay 12 lower tier salary guys.
It's $5
at the
million
back
total.
end. It's not even that much because you're paying them something for being on the practice squad. So you're paying them the difference between the practice squad and say essentially the minimum salary.
$5 million.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to have bigger rosters. And because it's stupid. How about the playoffs a couple of years ago when the Niners got two quarterbacks hurt and they didn't have a quarterback? Which just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and to the quarterback question for us, okay, there's really 4 guys, okay, that should be on the team. Okay, so and at the end we probably got 7, 8 DBs that should be on the team. Probably got 6 receivers that should be on the team. You know, you're going to carry more offensive linemen because of the line issues. So you're going to want to have more of these guys around just for depth and quality of play. And our QBs typically now to expose 1 or 2 of them just to say, because you may only be able to keep 2 for a day or 2, while you're playing the numbers game. Yeah. And then you could lose a guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's almost like you're penalized for having better depth.
Well, I feel like it punishes you for drafting well later in rounds.
Right.
Like for example, like Miles Harden, a guy who the Browns drafted in the 7th round this year.
This
corner? From
Hmm.
all reports, has been really, really good in camp.
He's on ball, though.
But they have so many cornerbacks, and I don't feel like the Browns should be penalized. They're not being penalized, but they're not being rewarded for making a smart draft pick in that sense.
Well, they are being penalized.
Jawan Briggs, the other guy they took in the 7th round, the defensive tackle, like there's no defensive tackle spot.
No,
they used to pick in a guy that,
Yeah.
unless he had the greatest camp in the world, wasn't going to get a spot over Tomlinson and Hurst and Harris and Jefferson and Mike Hall.
I think when they go to 18 games in the regular season, they should go to 2 buys and expanded roster. I mean, they should have already expanded the rosters, but I gotta believe they'll do it then. At least 60, if not 65.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, Bull.
Let's do. Let's go ahead and do it.
They ain't.
All right, Anthony, go ahead. You got to read, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get a read in here real quick, guys. I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporty like I want them to. However, FanDuel keeps the sports going whenever I want them to. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. All you have to do is head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS to start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
All right. Somebody brought up something the other day. I think it was our guy Xavier P on Twitter about.
It was Xavier P. So shout out to Xavier P. Wherever you are, shout out Xavier
who is
P.
the #1 Browns apologist out there, Xavier.
We love Xavier P.
I love him, but he never says anything bad about the Browns. Everything is positive, as always, every time, which is not realistic. They don't always do the right thing. Anyway, some Browns fans try to argue that maybe Jimmy Haslam, who for years we discarded as one of the worst owners in sports, he thinks he might be the best owner of the three in Cleveland right now. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Bernie. If you don't want to, that's fine. But
No. You know what?
Yeah.
I actually think we are for sure blessed in Cleveland to have three amazing owners from the baseball, basketball, and football perspective. And just to the specifics of the Haslam family, from an ownership perspective, the main thing that people say is, do they spend money to try to win? And then do they let their guys do most of the work and provide the resources for that? I think maybe some of the other owners may be mad that the Haslams pay us players so much, and we're one of the original guys to do that. I think it's awesome from a fan perspective, from a Browns perspective, to have him and the Haslam Sports Group so active from a financial standpoint. I mean, we're looking at some of the other teams that are so cash poor that they have to be right. So it's
Poverty franchise.
I mean, look at we could have been having the Amari Cooper issue all camp. He just gives him I'm not saying he just gives him, but he does $5 million, enough to where Amari Cooper is in camp and practicing. Then we don't have that issue. Okay, we're not talking about that. So from that perspective, I think we're really blessed from that.
Well, and you think about it, you got the situation with the Bengals with Jamar Chase, but even with the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones is probably the richest owner in the NFL.
The Cowboys got evaluated at $10.2 billion.
Yeah.
The first franchise to be double-digit billions.
And CD Lamb's holding out. He's pissed off.
And Micah and Dak.
So
but I don't think they're holding out.
Dak's holding out?
No, they're there, but they all want new contracts, and he hasn't been willing to pay.
So I think it's funny because in a way it's hard to call the Haslams the best owner because the other owners in this town have had more success. Right? The Browns have won one playoff game the entire time the Haslams have been here. Whereas during that time, the Cavaliers owner has the Cavaliers have won a championship, and the Guardians have gone to the World Series and made multiple postseason trips. So from that perspective, it may be unfair. Now, if I think of it from this perspective, if I had to have one of them own the team right now, I guess in the end I would take Jimmy only because he has shown you his willingness to spend money. Now, to be fair to Dan Gilbert,
they just gave all these contract extensions.
No, Dan's he's exceptional.
And the Browns have, football. As a football owner, Jimmy Haslam is making way more money than Dan Gilbert is through basketball. You just make a lot more money in football. But the owner of the Guardians, there's a lot of good things about Dolan because he is the best of the three at not meddling. Jimmy, I think, has gotten better at it. But Dan Gilbert and Jimmy are both known for meddling too much. And especially early in Jimmy's tenure, it was like completely out of control. Now, I think he's gotten better, or maybe we've just gotten lucky that the guys they've hired now finally are good, and so he doesn't have to meddle as much. Whereas the Dolans, they let the people they hire just do their thing. They do not get involved. But they don't spend enough. So as a fan, as you said, Bernie, we care most about is the owner willing to spend.
Right. Well, and again, I'm looking at it from, I'm not just saying this to be nice because we're here in Cleveland. Yeah. We're blessed. We got, for each sport, we have three exceptional owners. Now, and ownership groups, comparing them especially
Yeah.
to what I do is the outside of their owners. And again, I was talking about, I played for the Cowboys. I got a Super Bowl ring there.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is exceptional human to me. He is amazing in all the compliments he's given me. He actually gives me more credit than I probably deserve for the Super Bowl in that year. But it's exceptional how he handles and talks to me about that. Yet there's a stat out today that the Cowboys are one of the least spending teams per cash,
Yep.
and the Browns are one of the highest.
Second highest, and the Cowboys are second
So
lowest.
if, just as for Browns fans, that is what we say we want our owner to do. And we want our owner, and we have probably, not that the amount of employees correlates into wins, but we have as many employees working at supporting the team and analytics and training and medical and stuff as anybody in the league. So from a player, I also love that. And from a fan, I know that all the resources are there, and now it's kind of on us as the guys he hires to get that done.
Right.
And to the point of maybe the beginning, and that he got lucky or we've got lucky as fans.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the Haslams, Mr. Haslam, Mr. Gilbert, the Hollands, they're exceptionally smart. And to come into like a new business, like Dan came into basketball when he was really in the mortgage business, and then the Haslams came into football from being really in the
truck stop business.
energy business. It's kind of natural that you'll have growing pains every year or two, but why they probably are successful in their original businesses and then had the disposable income to buy sports franchises is they're fast learners. And they really, both of them, I believe, are fast learners. And albeit maybe some bumps in the road early for sure, I really think they've figured it out. And I'm not even hired by them. So I'm not even an employee. I mean, and I actually, have as much, I could go the other way for humor and things that have happened in my past. So I'm not even an employee and don't have a reason to kind of say that. It's just, to me, it's just factual.
Speaking of the Haslams and everything going on there, what about the stadium situation? What's your thoughts on the Browns potentially playing in a dome and leaving the city?
That one to me has me so emotionally conflicted. Here I am. I love the history and tradition of the game. Look at how I still get fired up talking about Blitz Zero in that. I mean, why? All the stuff going on in society that I could affect or not affect, and I still care about a 7-man blitz, okay? Okay? But I still love that tradition of where I played, what I grew up watching as a little boy, and then still kind of being a boy at 21 years old to play on the lake down there. Again, I know progress needs to be made, but there's a lot of me that feels like, it was left on that field down there, and in that landfill, there are a couple of my teeth that are missing somewhere down, lost in the mud down there. That's hopefully excavating. A few thousand years from now, they'll DNA me there. But I feel like a little boy attuned to what's happening down at the stadium there. But again, it's that beautiful man cave comes across there. And as an old man who loved playing in the elements, but I'm not sure how much of the elements I enjoy being in now at 60 years old, I could see how progress, on that side of it. And then Cleveland, one of the reasons I wanted to come here in 1985 was winning a national championship in 1983. Our city was in bankruptcy in the 70s. Our city was the butt of national jokes. Cuyahoga River was catching on fire. We were, again, the butt of national jokes. Having a complex like that, bringing Super Bowls and international events to our city, our state, could put us on another level. And there's some amazing people in our city right now that I know fall on both sides of it, but there's some amazing things you could do with other events, with Super Bowls, Heck, there's the Premier League is starting this weekend, and there's a Cleveland owner, Ed Schwartz, just bought Ipswich Town, and they one of the first of one of only 5 teams ever in a Premier League to be second division 2 years ago when he bought them. Did good.
Yeah.
And moved up the next division last year, won again, and promoted to Premier League. So you could have tie-ins with amazing international events and besides Super Bowl. So I'm super conflicted with just the growth of a state and a city with just the little boy history and tradition. And body parts of mine still laying down there in the landfill that I still hope to excavate.
Bernie, let me ask you this question, because this has been a hot off-season topic as well, and it's about Deshaun. If Deshaun does not perform well this season, is it the sign that the Browns need to look for something else?
That's a tricky question on the hypotheticals that Coach Schnellenberger and Coach Shula said to me never to answer the hypotheticals. And as I'm drinking my water, I want you to start putting this powder in yours during the day and stuff.
I'm out of my water. I need more water.
But I'm not just trying to hedge the question on that, okay? But I really do. It's important for me, and it's super important as players and coaches to think in the present and think in the now and not think of the what ifs. And for sure, I do the you matter because I really want to establish self-confidence and self-esteem in people, and even people that we think should have self-confidence and self-esteem, like us 4 sitting in front of the camera, but all still have our anxieties and doubts and stuff. So I don't like to add to that, and that's why I'm so into what Jameis is bringing in multiple ways to Deshaun and that, to not start conversations like that. But so I really do believe that we're going to be he's focused and they're going to be working on it from this perspective of it. But you always have to be thinking about the future with those quarterbacks. I mean, that's part of where you have to, you always, as players don't like thinking about it, but you always have to be in that room of growth.
Yep.
Bernie, in your mind, what qualifies as a successful season for the Browns this year? They have to reach some certain plateau for it to be a success, or is it a moving scale? How do you see success for the Browns in 24?
So I'm not trying to put this as a cut and dry or line in the sand, but I did have, again, in the fourth quarter overtime of my life, I want to be spiritually open and healing, but it was super cut and dry. Success was winning in the playoffs. It was really, again, I'm not saying this to put pressure on, but we only went into the season, we could only think about college national championship, pros, Super Bowl. It was singularly thought and singularly focused. Now, truthfully, getting through into the playoffs and winning some playoff games would be, I think, incredibly successful. But from a mindset standpoint, we're talented enough, and I believe the players and guys should want that expectation of going all the way.
Yeah. Anthony, you got some super chats for us?
Yeah, I got 2 for you guys real quick. Our first one comes from Young Ackman. Hedges makes the teammates feel better because they look at his stats and they feel better about their own.
That's true.
Probably pretty accurate. And then a question for you guys from Lance Kennedy. Who do you think is better in their prime, Hayden or Ward?
Ooh,
That's a good question.
that's a really good.
I feel like Denzel's peak is higher than Hayden's peak was, but
don't know.
Hayden was a little more consistent, if that makes sense.
What do you think, Bernie?
Well, I love them both, and I was just thinking of how Emerson really keeps growing too. So, I would love to see Joe and Denzel playing together, and I'd love to see Denzel stay healthy, get this concussion thing behind him. And I actually think with our pass rush, our 2 corners are as good as any of the corners in the league right now.
All 3. Give me Newsome too.
Yeah.
Throw Greg in there
we're going to
too.
get that hammy ready.
Yeah. I would take Joe. He was more reliable because he didn't. I mean, maybe I'm misremembering. I don't remember him missing much time. I mean, Denzel misses games every year. I love Denzel. I know he's your guy, Travis. I got to look up Joe Hayden.
I feel like in their prime, at their peak,
Denzel
is a better athlete and a better I would like his matchup with anybody. But Joe was more. I feel like he was very productive on the ball as far as like an interception standpoint as well.
But isn't that because they threw it him more, Ty? Like I feel like teams don't even. Throw
But he also was checking number one. Well, I guess Denzel does too in his prime and speak.
But don't you think Tyvus
I'm biased. Denzel all the way.
12 years in the NFL for Joe Hayden. He played. He missed some games, but he played at least 15 games.
How many picks did he finish
6
with?
times.
See, but I think with Joe,
29 picks.
See, because Joe, though, one of the things that Joe did really good, but it was a different era of football, and the kind of 10 years ago type of football was almost the type of football that got me in trouble in the mid-'90s and also accelerated my retirement, was the blitz zone, 3 deep, 3 under, and where DBs in the old days in zone never want to get beat deep. Don't let anybody get behind you.
They still like that.
Yeah, but Joe wasn't. So he understood in blitz zones, in 3 deep coverage, and quarterback taking 3 steps or 5 and planting and trying to throw rhythm outs and rhythm hitches. He was the man at guessing, squatting, and getting in front of the guys and then catching it like that. Whereas now, the blitz zone isn't as predominant anymore, and it's more cover 4 off of that. So Denzel and these corners today don't have as much of the opportunity because that defense really isn't there, that 3 deep, 3 under blitz zone where the corners kind of reading eyeballs and hoping there's a hot coming.
I agree.
And Joe was master, and that's what he did awesome with the Steelers because with the pass rush, even though his athleticism was diminished a little bit, his intelligence is super high. Yeah. And you add the Steeler pass rush with the way they create free running linebackers. Joe was stepping in and squatting, and I love Joe, but that's another DB I'd have a massive issue with. Wanting to throw deep on.
I think we have to wait till Denzel's career is over to know who was better. Because Joe played for 12 years. And I thought at the end of his Browns career he was starting to tail off, and then he kind of bounced back with the Steelers. So
well, he started playing more off man, which I talked to him about that. But I mean, that's my one issue. What he was talking about as far as the corners today is all about scared of getting beat deep. When I was watching this preseason game last Saturday, that was my big concern because I was like these offenses are doing this. They're doing this thing now where they're taking these receivers and reducing their splits, and it's forcing these corners to play off. And I need to know why these DB coaches aren't teaching them this. It's a certain type of way that you got to play these reduced splits.
Right.
And I learned it from Sherm, and it was and Sherm learned it from Akib Talib. And when I did this, it made me play the reduced split so much better. And I wonder why it's not a universal thing. And
so how'd you play those?
So you play.
Because that's a pet peeve of mine. That's a tell for how I want to develop plays off of that.
So when they get these reduced splits, I would always play the outside shoulder. I play 7 yards off. I play the outside shoulder. And on the snap, they do like this back pedal thing, but it's more of a shuffle out. Like you're supposed to shuffle, and let him break the cushion. Because in a reduced split, I'd say about 85% of the time, it's not going to be a vertical route. They're not just going to run a fade out of a reduced split. That's not the case.
Almost
it's
never.
Usually it's either the bang eight or it's the spray out. And you got to shuffle out and let them break the cushion, and then just boom. As soon as you see them get ready to break, get ready to jump the route. And if they do try to run a fade or something, if they did, and the 15% that they do it, he's got to run through you to get through the route anyway, so you can make the collision, flip your hips, and still gonna make the play. But nowadays, these guys backpedal so far out of there that these guys is running routes on air.
Right on there. So you have the little 6-yard, 8-yard hookup, or the easy
and they just
little
giving it to
4 or
him,
5
and
yard
it's
stuff
very
throw on the
frustrating
flat,
for me.
Yeah.
It feels like it's dink and dunk downfield. Even Green Bay with Sean Clifford, who's not a great quarterback, and I know it's a preseason game, but in that 2-minute drive at the end of the first half, he had 4 or 5 completions of 6, 7, 8 yards, boom, 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 that put him in a chance to kick a field
So
goal.
I would use preseason, and I would challenge us fans out there for sometimes you do things in preseason that you want to put on film to confuse people, and or you see that the other team, you don't want them to see you know that stuff. So that's actually, Tyvus, what we're talking about there with the reduced splits alignment of the DBs is one of the things that is one of my foundational ways to do a film study on in preparation. And then for preseason, if you are a team that just backpedals poorly like that and gets expansion, like you already for a windy Cleveland day, you already know you've got 3 free passes. Okay, so you could kind of set up your I'm not blocking very good today package, or the wind is too terrible outside today package. And I would save those. I wouldn't want to use them in preseason because you may need them.
That's
you
true.
need those. And because you're so right, so many teams, just, if they foundationally don't know how to handle alignment to a reduced split, you could eat
It's
them
a wrap.
alive with simple plays.
Bernie, we're glad you're doing well. We're glad you're feeling well. Thanks for coming in with us.
Awesome,
We'll
guys.
see you again soon.
See you every week, it looks like.
That's right. We'll see you next week. We'll be coming back with overtime in just a couple minutes. Tomorrow's show, 10 to 11:30, special time as we're going out to Progressive Field. We'll see you on overtime and tomorrow, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.